All right, guys. So, no one signed up for the open mic portion because you all are fucking pussies. I said it, but doesn't matter because we have two more amazing comics. So, our next comic I'm really excited about. Actually, she's not really a comic. She's everything. Well, she's everything to me. She is an artist, a storyteller of Puerto Rican descent, NYC born and Jersey City based. She is the winner of the Jersey City AC 2020 Literary Arts Award. That made no sense, but whatever. Making your comedy debut with some funny stories for us. Please welcome a fellow full color alum, Nancy Méndez-Booth.
Those people are with me. Well, let me just make sure that I adjust this. Hi, I'd like to thank In Full Color for inviting me to tell stories. Thank you. When I was growing up, I actually was never picked for anything. I was either picked last or I was picked on. And it used to bother me a lot. And if I could go back in time and speak to my younger self, I would say, little brown nerd, don't try so hard. Care less. Because you see, I really wanted to be cool. But I was a nerd with a theory. And I called it Nancy's Law of Motion. And it went like this. A nerd at rest remains a nerd. But a nerd in constant motion increases the distance between herself and the state of nerdhood and accelerates in a straight line to the state of cool. Unless thwarted by an intercepting force. And when I was growing up, that intercepting force was my nemesis cousin, Margie. Margie was 1 year older than me, and she was cool. She had good hair that was naturally straight. She didn't wear glasses. She didn't have buck teeth. She had friends. And when she introduced me to her friends, she would say, "This is my cousin Nancy. She's a nerd. We have to play with her or else my moms will get mad." And that used to make me mad. But anger fueled this little brown nerd. Kind of like Miss Pac-Man, gobbling pellets in the maze. And one day, the universe placed before me a power pellet that was going to accelerate me to cool. Margie's 10th birthday party. You see, my Titi Milagros, who was Margie's mom and my mommy's sister, she knew all of the elements for Puerto Rican party success. Lots of fried pork and plantains, dimmers for the lights to create ambiance, and a sound system. Speakers mounted in each corner of the living room, 2 turntables, a deck for the 8-track tapes, and another deck for the cassettes. And there was always dancing at these parties. And we kids, we used to do dance competition, which was sort of like, so you think you can dance, except that the adults who were judging and the kids who were dancing were not experts. Oh, but I was. You see, I had been enrolled in Miss Kathy's Little Shimmy and Shakers dance school for 5 years. And I was schooled in the major genres of movement. Ballet, tap, and jazzy. So the night of the party, I showed up in my pink leotard, my matching wrap skirt, and my glitter headband. I had my song, my routine, and that $10 prize that Dio Carlos put up was going to be mine. And I was going to take that $10 bill, exchange it for quarters, and I was going to go down to the bodega. And I was going to play Miss Pac-Man for as long as I wanted. And then Margie and her friends would be like, "Oh, Nancy, please, I can have a quarter?" Or, "Oh, Nancy, please, I can get a turn?" And I wouldn't look at them because I'd be guiding Miss Pac-Man past Blinky and Pinky. And I would say, "No." And I would keep playing until I had to go home and do my vocabulary homework. And that night, I watched and I clapped politely as the other dancers took the floor. 6-year-old Raulito, he threw up after he spun around so many times, dancing to "He's the Greatest Dancer," which obviously he was not. I let birthday girl Margie go before me, and she led everyone in singing along to "We Are Family," obviously to distract from her very pedestrian shoulder shakes. Amateurs. Then it was my turn. I had selected a song by Donna Summer because she was the queen of disco. And I was going to go from 9-year-old nerd to royalty. So I gave my cousin Julio my 45 single, and I told him not to put the needle on the record until after I announced myself. Damas y caballeros, I have prepared for you a dance. And I got into position. I looked at Julio, and I nodded. And when that opening electrical guitar growl to "Hot Stuff" started, everyone stopped chewing their pernil. And when the synthesizers started, I was transported from the linoleum in the living room to the illuminated dance floor of a cool discotheque like Studio 54. And my dance had drama. And if you're not familiar with Hot Stuff, the song goes like this. Sitting here eating my heart out, waiting for some lover to call, and I had a phone. Dialed about 1,000 numbers lately, almost rang the phone off the wall, and here I am going crazy because I almost dialed like 1,000 numbers because I was looking for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. And I wanted some hot stuff, baby, tonight. And I never got around to placing my hands on my heart to say that I gotta have love tonight. Because the music stopped. And I thought, ooh, it's that Margie trying to sabotage me. And when I looked, it was Bobby. Standing by the turntable, holding the needle. And he wasn't moving, just looking at me. In fact, everybody was looking at me, not moving. Except for Mommy. She was moving straight toward me with a chancleta in her hand. She wore heels to the party. Did she have a flip-flop in her purse? Or probably Titi Margie let her borrow one of her house chancletas so that she could whack my descarada ass because, you know, they're family and apparently that's what Puerto Rican sisters do for each other. I did not raise my cool quotient that evening. And things just did not get better as I got older. And the stakes felt higher in high school. I needed some place to belong other than with the other nerds. Margie had her pretty popular girl clique, and I wanted to be part of that clique too. What happened to We Are Family? And then, in sophomore year, the universe presented me with another power pellet moment. I was invited to Margie's sleepover. Actually, it was Titi Milagros who invited me, but I was still so excited because I would be in the presence of pretty popular girls in their natural habitat, and I could learn their ways because, you know, a nerd in constant motion is going to get somewhere. So I planned really carefully. I packed my best Star Wars pajamas and my big satin bonnet to protect my blowout and keep my hair from frizzing. Oh, and I packed a Mad Libs game book in case the girls asked me what I wanted to do, which they never did. But that's okay, because I got to watch the way they sat and the way they laughed and how they spoke. And they spoke a lot because popular girls know people, so they have a lot to say about other people, a lot of gossip. And at one point, Margie said, "You know what I heard?" And everybody got quiet. She paused, and everybody waited. That was power. And she gave a small smile, and she said, "It's about 2 seniors at our school." And all the girls giggled. I didn't go to their school, but I giggled too. And she leaned in, and everybody leaned in too. And my shoulder touched the shoulder of the girl to my right. And I was a part of the circle. And Margie looked around at everybody except me and said, "I heard that Linda Turnton gave Peter Barone a blowjob in the school basement." And the girls were shocked. "A blowjob?" one girl said. Now, I was puzzled, but I wasn't shocked. I mean, didn't they know about blowjobs? I mean, within my family, this was really bad hair. So I never went out into public without a blowjob. This was my power pellet moment, and I had to speak up. And I said, well, who shows up at school with a blow dryer?" And everybody got really quiet. And for the first time that night, all the girls looked at me. And one girl was about to say something, and Margie shushed her and looked straight at me and said, "She blew his penis." His penis? Now that's weird. I hope the blower was on a cool setting. And Margie just leaned in closer to me, and she said, "You nerd, she blew his penis with her mouth." Her mouth? You mean like a birthday candle? And they all laughed. And I didn't understand how I had gone from a power pellet moment to being a bigger loser than I had been at the beginning of the evening. I spent the rest of the night in the living room watching telenovelas with Titi Milagros. And Tio Carlos drove me home early the next morning. I was always in constant motion trying to get away from being a nerd, but I only ever increased the distance between me and cool. I was my own intercepting force. And it was a straight line from high school nerd to adult nerdhood for like 40 years. So fast forward to the pandemic, which put a hard stop on everything for everybody. And even this nerd took a rest. So I read books. I listened to NPR all day. I rocked the New York Times Daily Crossword in ink, even on Fridays. Thank you. And I went to bed every night at 9:45 without my satin bonnet because no one was going to be judging my frizzy hair or anything I did. And all of that nerd stuff made me happy. And it gave me the strength for all of the losses of the pandemic. And I also turned 50 during the pandemic. It was July of 2021. So I went for a walk in Lincoln Park that morning, wearing my AARP t-shirt because I belonged. And the sun shone on my kinky, frizzy bedhead and my mustache and my hairy legs. And I felt as golden on the inside as the light all around me. And as I stood by the fountain, I realized two things. One, that was a power pellet moment, precisely because I couldn't care less about being cool. And two, I'm trying to remember what the second thing that I realized was, because hey, you know what? I am 50. All those pandemic months, I thought I had been at rest, but I had actually been in constant motion, accelerating in a straight line toward me. And this nerd is fucking beautiful.